Sambo, an absolutely mammoth effort from you yesterday out on the pitch, kicking at least one absolute screamer of a goal, I got to say.
I kicked one snag and, well, first of all, thank you. But yeah, kicked the snag. What did I do? Shanked one, kicked it behind, and then had one touch on the goal line. So I could have kicked four.
Yeah, look, I think there was a pivotal point when you kicked your absolute scream of a goal. I'd say from beyond the 50, and from where we were sitting, it looked like it was quite the difference. But I think the main thing is that was the turnaround. That was the start of the comeback for the Brisbane Lions.
The start of the comeback that never started.
Well, there was another goal in short succession afterwards, but not a full. Didn't convert.
Oh, look, at the end of the day, as long as we had fun, shared, and cared. My competitive spirit was definitely subdued throughout the game. It was incredibly frustrating at times to find the balance between the competitor mode versus the community mode. But, I had fun. I think everyone else did, and that's the main thing,
Look, if you haven't seen Sam's fantastic work out on the pitch, head to our socials, especially our Instagram. There's some good stuff going on, and shout out to the Brisbane Recklink Community Cup for having Sam get his hat off for one day only.
Yeah, and how ironic that it was the sunniest day ever and I couldn't see. So great. But Maxwell, Vinyl Club. Hello to everyone. First of all,
hi everyone.
Shall we dive into the homework, because I gave you accidentally a very long album.
It's not that long. It's like 45 minutes long. Injury episode by Static Dress is what we're talking about today. And I wouldn't say it's that long. It's long. There's a lot of songs, but I think a fair few of them are like interludes and like little, 20, 30-second jumps into bigger songs. So I think in terms of the actual tracks, it's not that bad. But I suppose let's tuck in, hey? Let's have a little bit of lunch.
Let's do it. This is your review, so I'm in your hands.
I think so. I want to be honest straight up. I don't think this is necessarily an album for me. I think this is a decent album, but I think it's something that I don't. It sort of hits a few spots that aren't necessarily the spots that I need tickled in my brain, And there's a lot. This album pulls from a heap of different sounds in that kind of alt, heavy metal, punk, rock world. Pulls from a lot of different influences within that. But I think each one just is probably the version of that thing that I don't love. And we'll get into it and I'll tell you about that why later. But I think at the very outset, I just want the people to know that when I'm reviewing this, it's probably not going to come out with a huge tick of approval from me. On a personal note.
It wasn't tickety-boo.
It's good. It's just not for me. And that's fine. Positive notes, though. The drums on this album are on fucking fire. There is not a song.
Sam Ogden.
The other Sam. The show's other Sam. And
the others, yeah.
It's there's every song. Other Sam is doing great work on the drums. They're loud, they're punchy, they're complex, but never sort of like ridiculous. And it just everything feels very charging forward, moving, driving, especially because of the drum beats. So drums on this album, incredible. I think the problem I think that this album has around the drums for me is that I think that knowing that they had a drummer who was doing the most or doing the best, I think the band didn't build or the rest of the album around that so super well. And by that, I mean, and I don't know if it's the arrangement or if it's the production and the mix that has made the difference there.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm gonna in songs like Questioning or Pharmacy Film, which are the two main like actual songs of the record. It feels very busy. Like the drums are thick and chunky and they're going, but then the guitars also feel super rhythmic in a way that doesn't necessarily complement the drums, I think.
Yep.
Or in Pharmacy Film, it's shorter and it's punchier and it's a lot more balanced, but I think it's still like quite busy.
Okay.
From an audio perspective.
No, look, I agree. I think at times the the mix. It's hard to know because for me, when I listen to it, I'm like, this is so mid 2000s emo. Like My Chem meets Under Oath meets even like a little bit of Taking Back Sunday, and sort of that nostalgic, chaotic emo metal sound, which I think they were going for in some respect. But I do agree at times with songs, which I'm sure you'll get into, like Nostalgia Kills and Pharmacy Film, like you said, the mix does add a bit of a messiness to it, which I think for some people really works. And when you see it live, it's incredible. Like it's just all energy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine for a first-time listener like you are, it's a bit much to wrap your head around.
Yeah, I think it's just... I feel like a lot of the times through this record, you're being pulled in a lot of different directions, or your ears are being told like, hey, no, the drums are the focus because it's this really complex part, but then the guitars are coming in with this like crazy other rhythm, or the vocals are really up in the thing. I'm like, I think either the mix or the arrangement or both could have been used a bit more effectively to say like, okay, this is where you should be paying your attention at the moment. This is where, and that can change. But it's very all happening all at once. Everything everywhere all at once.
And that's kind of been the Static Dress sound, to be honest. I think when they dropped Hospice, which is, I would suggest or predict that would have been the song for you that was the most palatable. Or maybe like Adapter.
Interesting.
But, that was the song where everyone sort of stopped and went, okay, Static Dress are doing something cool. But then if you go back into their old catalogues, it's all chaotic, and then it'll have this big release, but at the same time, like, they're loud, they're chaotic, they're technical. A band you have to see live, I feel, because they nearly blew Loathe out of the water when I saw them.
Right, okay. I mean, I would like to see this live because I think there are times that, like, I'm like, there is definitely something here in a lot of this album, as in, like, the ideas and the concepts. On paper, I feel like this album should appeal to me. But then I feel like it's the execution that doesn't necessarily nail it, and I don't know why. Speaking into some song specifics, I think, as I said before, they're pulling from a lot of different places and pieces. I think Adapter, as you mentioned, has this kind of neo grunge kind of thing going on. Nostalgia Kills definitely takes its cues from metalcore. Hospice or Hospice, as I kept thinking about, like if there was a sixth Spice Girl and she was just getting around, she's the Hospice. That song feels like a My Chemical Romance song, like something off of Welcome to the Black Parade or something like that. And then Mail Bomb has this like industrial feel that could be like Nine Inch Nails or something like that. So it's pulling from all these different areas within alternative and rock and stuff like that, and kind of putting them all into this one package. And I think that's why sometimes it feels busy. That's not to say that those individual pieces aren't done well, though. You're right. I do quite like Hospice. It's pretty good. Interesting though, classic Death Pose was probably one of the ones that was the most impactful for me. It is one of the heavier ones, and it is also very busy, and it's quite busy. But then I think the way that they're using like vocal effects and like that massive like sub bass boom at the end of that song really tell you where you should be concentrating and makes the busyness less intense, if that makes sense. I think those two were probably two of the stronger ones for me. The Nostalgia Kills also not too shabby at all. So I think there's a few in here that I didn't mind, but I don't know if I'll come back to them that often. The one thing that I will say before I sort of close out in final thoughts, I think what this album does well is it's a good album. I think the structure of where all these songs are placed and how that it goes from between different tracks is really well done. Some of the little interlude bits help you palate cleanse. Like after Nostalgia Kills, which is a intense song, like it's very full on, you get This Is a Farewell. So This Farewell is which is this kind of like little rainy interlude that kind of clears your taste buds after like the intensity of that to go into Hospice. So you're not like hard changing out of these two different directions. But then on the other hand, when you go back into something huge, it feels like it's stepped up on purpose. So I think that the structure of the album works really well.
Yeah, I think from our listeners' perspective as well, it's an album that a lot a lot of people were caught by surprise with in a really positive way. I see a lot of comments on our feed that this is probably a contender for album of the year for a lot of people. And I can see why. As an album, it's really well put together. Lyrically, it's really cool. There's heaps of massive moments. There's heaps of really cool, more stripped back moments that give you that balance like you spoke about. So, yeah, I think they're definitely a band to watch. And even though sonically it might not be for you specifically, I do feel like it's an album that stops people in their tracks and people actually listen to it and they go, okay, this is cool. Like, I don't fuck with it, or I really fuck with it. But either way, like, there's something here, you know?
Yeah, no, look, 100% there is something here. And again, I think that on paper, this album should appeal to me because all the artists that I dropped and all the genres that I dropped when I talked about where the songs have come from are things that I quite like. To me, this almost feels like it needs a remastering. If I could sit in the control room with the band and be like, okay, now bring the guitars down. That's too much guitar. Put the drums up, or do move the pieces of this album around. I reckon it could be right in my alley. And I think it's just something about the way that this is a final product that just doesn't gel with me super well.
Yeah, there are a few bands doing some weird mixes. You've got the heavier bands that are doing the classic Buster mix. Obviously, he's the drummer in Throne, but he produces for...
I thought you were talking about Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes. No, he's like I call him like the nuclear bomb producer. So think Varials, think every heavy band that's putting sub bass in, that's this guy Busta out of Sweden. Static Dress is following like a similar vibe to, I want to say like Boundaries, where it's incredibly dense and thick sounding, but the mix is almost thin.
Ooh.
I want to say. Because listening through the Static Dress stuff, it's... I don't know, there's a lot going on, but it feels like you're only getting one sort of... If you were to look at the sound waves, you're getting quite a thin line compared to like these massive booms that you're hearing in the metal world. I don't know. I mean that when I say thin. It's not tinny, but it's just it's quite, everything's on the same sort of wavelength. Not everything is feeling layered and
right.
textured.
That range of things, how your highs are high, your lows are low, it's all been compressed into that middle band where everything feels like it's all occupying the same space.
Yeah, you've got like the Static Dress drummer doing his thing, but at the same time you've got the guitars coming in at the same level, the same frequency, and then you've got the vocals in there, which typically when you're looking at production, some leads will get dropped back or some rhythm will get dropped back and then the vocals will sit over the top of everything. Like, it just seems like everything's on an even keel, which I think adds to that chaos. And I can completely see how it is for some people and it's not for others. Like, I get it.
I mean, but that's also a mix that sounds more live. It's like, if you're going for a flatter mix, it doesn't feel as studio and as produced. You know what I mean? Which can, like, a lot of bands might be going for. That might be something that Static Dress wanted to achieve, this is what it feels like to be at a Static Dress show. Which that's not a bad thing. I think for me, coming to these songs for the first time and experiencing them in the recorded version, I almost kind of needed that production to go, okay, I need time to figure out where all these pieces are instead of being like, holy fuck, they're all right in front of my face right now.
Yeah, true. I would recommend if you can see them live. Incredible. So good.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think... I think I would need to come back to this album another time. We can do a redux later in the run.
We'll do a redux. We'll get you to see them live first, and then we can revisit.
Sam, off the back of this record, one of the genres, one of the artists that I think they're referencing in various times is 9 Inch Nails, and I think it's time that you lose your virginity, your 9 Inch Nails virginity. And you listen to the Downward Spiral, the saddest, sexiest, most frustrated, self-hating album of all time.
Come closer. Dun, 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 dun. I love Neo. And I just can't pull myself. Sorry.
Hey, a banger. I've always got time for bangers here. I think Downward Spiral came out in 1994, great year, and is just a Trent Reznor at his most depressy, doing weird shit kind of thing. And I think it's a record that probably nowadays a lot of records sound like, or like, they take cues from that. Whereas at the time, I think Trent Reznor was doing some weird shit, and then for some reason that went mainstream. So worth a check out, I think.
I'm keen. You've been going on about it for a while, and I love sad shit, so count me in.
I don't know if this is your kind of sad shit, though. I mean, like, let's find out. I'm keen to find out, but who knows?
We'll find out. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. Any vinyl thoughts from you, Maxwell?
Sam, at the moment, I'm between jobs in terms of buying new vinyl. I'm going to try and find. There's a few on the list that I want to get to. I want to get some more classic hip hop albums. I realized I was going through my collection the other day, and I'm just missing a good chunk of classic hip hop and a good chunk of classic metal. So those two I'm trying to build out and have a look at now. But that's a long term project, not a I'm rushing to the shops. How about you, Sam?
Oh man, nothing from me. I went to Dutch Vinyl the other day. Picked up a secondhand Moving Mountains record that I'd never seen in the flesh ever. It cost me $70. It was ridiculous,
okay.
But
there we go. For listeners at home, we are recording this on the day that the Australian government is testing its alert alarm system, and it just went off.
And it did just go off right on cue, and I was like, my phone doesn't vibrate. Why is my phone vibrating? That was fucking weird.
My watch was just going ham as well. It's all happening.
That was hectic. That's scary, dude. That's scary.
Well, if something's happening, you want it to be fucking, you're alert and alarmed.
Still scary. Fuck off, Albo. But Albo fucking hacking my phone aside, if you haven't heard of Moving Mountains and you love, I guess, like post-punk, atmospheric rock, I believe I got their self-titled album, and it is incredible. Put it on in the background, rainy night, just relax.
All right. Well, I'll have to give it a little spin later on. But in the meantime, Sam, I think that's a close for today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, my cortisol levels are still at 1,000% after that alarm.